Beautiful. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our live. We wanted to just answer any questions that you might have about child sponsorship. And so there's a lot of calls and a lot of different lives and stuff like that we do for our sponsors, for people who are currently sponsoring. But if you are one of those wonderful people who follows us, and I know that there's been a lot of y'all recently jump on and follow us. Great to see people joining. Hello. We just wanted to jump on and answer any questions that you might have. Our sponsorship program is not a normal sponsorship program. Our kids don't live in orphanages. They don't live, in like homes or anything like that. Yeah. They are way out in the most remote villages, in the middle of absolutely nowhere. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about that today. And of course, we'll be posting this for anyone who couldn't make it. Really quick, by way of introductions, just wanted to introduce ourselves. My name is Peter Drummond, and I head up Light a Candle. I'm a project director here, and I was actually with the sponsorship program since the start. Way back in June 4th, 2018 was when we launched the program. So I have been around since before then, and it's been my honor. Hello, a lot of friends joining. Hi. It's been a real honor to get to see this program go from no kids sponsored to where we are right now, which is 1,330. So it's been really, really exciting. Hannah, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm the child sponsorship coordinator, and I have been part of Light a Candle for a little over a year and a half. And honestly, like anyone who knows me really well will tell you this, my biggest passion is kids. And so it's been just an incredible privilege to be part of the sponsorship program, to be on the ground and to be able to see the results and the firsthand. And it's just really incredible what God is doing, and it's such an honor to be a part of it.
Yeah, y'all, if you have any questions, this is definitely a great time to ask any questions that you might have about child sponsorship. If there's anything that you don't know that you would love to know before making the decision to sponsor, this is a great place for that. You have the two people who know the most about the program on the planet right here. But Hannah, I think a great thing that people might want to know is, what is so special and unique about sponsorship? Why is this not like every other child sponsorship program?
Yeah, so one of the most unique things about our program is that we operate in the furthest corners of India. So the most remote villages in India, that's where we are. So a lot of other sponsorship programs, they operate in big cities, they operate in larger areas, but we operate in small areas where it takes, a long train ride and a car ride, and it's out in the middle of nowhere. It's on dirt roads. Some of these places don't even have cars, running water, that type of thing. And most of these villages, many of them have never been helped. Or in a lot of cases, they haven't been helped in 40 years, so several decades. And so we're able to bring in help for the first time. And I think that's the most special thing about our program, is we're really reaching people that have not been reached.
Yeah, that's very true. And like Hannah said, there was basically 4 villages that we went to recently, and they told us that we were the first organization in 40 years to go with them. I saw a comment before about orphanages, and most of our kids do not live in an orphanage. We try and encourage the family unit as much as possible. There's several studies that show a lot of kids that live at orphanages, a lot of them could live at home if they simply had the provisions. And the reason that they're in an orphanage is because their parents can't afford to feed them. And so we want to basically encourage the family unit to stay together. And we are the ones who go the extra mile out into the villages. Adam, thank you for your question, man. Appreciate you very much. For those of you who don't know, Adam as our former Iraqi country director and a wonderful human. He said, what is the current wait list of kids wanting to be sponsored? Well, how long have the kids been waiting for that are in our system right now, Hannah?
So right now there's a little over 100 kids waiting, and most of them have been waiting since November to be sponsored. Yeah, so they've been waiting several months.
Yeah, so our goal is we try and get the kids sponsored within 3 months of them joining our program, because they are in the middle of nowhere. None of the families are educated. The kids are the ones who are getting the best education, perhaps in the history of those villages, because we require the kids to go to school. And so, we try and have the kids sponsored within 3 months, because otherwise the families, they don't understand. They think we're taking the money, and we say, no, listen, we're just waiting for someone on the other side of the world to choose to sponsor that kid. Joshua, I saw your question about North India. We love North India.
Yes,
I've been to North India several times, and we would love to expand up into there. Definitely, please shoot us a DM if you know of any incredible organizations up there in the north of India. Do we support in Africa? We would love to, and we've looked at several different countries in Africa, all over Africa actually. Specifically, a couple of countries we looked at were in sub-Saharan Africa, and we are just waiting to find the right partners to join with down there. We would love to have sponsorship in a bunch of different countries. Our goal specifically is not to just jump in with anything that's going on in a city. However, our goal is to go as far out into the places that people currently don't want to go. That's kind of where we're looking. If there's any remote tribes, remote villages, all of that sort of thing, we're looking to go way out where no one else is going. Hannah, I would love to ask you, just before we answer some more questions, what was the number one thing that I guess shocked you or struck you the most the first time you went out to one of the villages that we sponsor in?
I think the biggest thing that shocked me was just how thankful they were. And because every time we go into the villages, they throw a huge party and there's flowers, and they're just so incredibly joyful. And that actually really threw me off on my first trip. We come into the villages, there's drums playing, there's things going on, and you hear so much about how India's persecuted and all these things are going on, and yet I've never experienced more joy than I have being in India and being in the villages. And so I think that's what shocked me the most my first time there.
Right, that's fantastic. Yeah, they do love to celebrate, and they're so grateful. And it's very humbling, because we are receiving the reward that everyone who's currently sponsoring, we get your reward. And so we try and pass that on to you through social media, through different things, through the newsletters and stuff like that. We try and get that across to you as much as we can, but it's very, very humbling going out there. I think the thing that impacted me the most about going out to the villages is how many people came up to me and genuinely said, Peter, unless it was for you guys coming and bringing the food every month during COVID, my family would be dead right now. And I think without the slightest hint of exaggeration, I would say between 40 and 60 families, not children, individual children, 40 to 60 families have come up to me and said, we would not be alive right now unless it was for child sponsorship. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So Hannah,
I've got another good one.
All right, one more, and then I have a question for you.
So on my second trip to India, our very last trip last year, we met a mom who literally shared this testimony with us of, I never imagined there would be healthy food in our home, because even when they could buy food, it was of the lowest nutrients. And she stood in front of us and she just cried, and she said, I just pray that every single family in India would know the same kind of love and generosity that we know.
Yeah. So Hannah, a lot of people probably wondering, what is it like once you sponsor? Like what can we expect? What kind of information? Do we get pictures? Like what does all of that look like? So what can sponsors expect?
Yeah, so once you sign up, you'll get an email and you'll get access to what we call a My LAC account. And on that account, you can see picture updates of your kids. You can learn more about sponsorship. There's even a whole section where you can learn how to write letters to your child, which, by the way, if you do sponsor and you've not written a letter to your child, I would highly encourage you to do so. It's so fun and it really encourages the kids. And we also do picture updates every year, and then we send out a monthly sponsorship update, as well as we post a ton of updates on our Instagram and our Facebook.
Yeah, so guys, if you are interested to get to know your child on a more personal level, you are able to do that. If you're interested in just sending the money over and you're content with the fact that these kids' lives are just getting completely changed, that is totally up to you. But we will always try and keep you as informed as possible with stuff like the monthly newsletter and all that sort of thing. Really want to highlight that your amount of involvement is entirely up to you. But like Hannah said, we always encourage letters, especially if you want to know how your kid's doing month to month. Saw an amazing question up there. I can't remember the name or the account, but it said, what is the consequence of the kids not being sponsored? And the sad reality is, Light a Candle works in 2 of the top 3 trafficking sourcing regions in the whole of India. So the states that we work in are the second and third highest trafficking sourcing region in all of India. And the time before a child gets sponsored is at their highest risk of trafficking, because there's a reason that our teams have selected that child to be a part of our program. It's because they are in extreme need. And so a lot of the kids that join our program are the kids where the parents are considering selling the child, and we're saying, no, please don't do that. We will provide the food that they need. There's also a lot of kids bonded labor or bond labor, forced sort of servitude. Kids working as maids in people's houses are a very common way that people with debts will, you'll have your daughter go and work in this person's place as part of your way of paying off that debt. And without going into too much detail on social media, obviously that is a very, often a very unsafe environment for the young girls. We have countless reports from other organizations who research this kind of stuff, including the US government, of the extraordinary abuse that takes place in those situations. So most of the kids as well, I would say this, from experience, are highly malnourished. If you look through our socials, if you scroll through our feed, you'll see photos of kids and they've got white hair at the front of their head and they've got patches on their arms where their skin is patchy. That is literally from malnutrition and their body not having enough nutrients to actually produce the melanin for their skin and for their hair. So it's kind of shocking, the consequences of these kids not getting sponsored. But that is because we go further than anyone else. We find the kids that no one else is willing to help, and that is the children that we choose to sponsor. So the consequences are great, but the benefits are even more extraordinary. Yeah. Because literally from the second that child gets sponsored, their entire life changes. They have access to a doctor that comes around every 6 months and does full body checkups on them, make sure that they're okay. It provides for spiritual care through pastors that are in each of those villages. It provides top quality food. Like Hannah said with that mom, she's saying, I never believed I would have clean food in my house. The reality is that we give them A1 grade rice, very high quality dal, and 12 other things every single month to not only see them restored from malnutrition and start to heal and to grow properly, but also we send them to school so they can get an education. So We've also done several other incidental things over the years. We bought all the kids lamps, solar-powered lamps, so that they could do their homework after dark. Most of the villages do not have electricity. We also bought desks, so the kids didn't have to bend over double on the ground and write in the ground. And our country director over there said that's how he grew up doing homework, and it hurt his back so badly. So there's been, we brought them umbrellas so they don't get wet going to school. We buy them school bags. We've bought them lunch stuff so that they can bring lunch from home, so that, this is a problem they never had before. There was never a need to bring food to school because there was not enough food to eat at school. And so now they're like, oh, wow, we're having like 2-3 meals a day. We need something to bring food to school. So all these are just incredible things that sponsorship does. So yeah, the reality of, children get trafficked from the villages that we work in, children get trafficked from the villages we don't work in. But the fact is, every single kid in our program does not get trafficked. Every single kid in our program is safe from traffickers. They're safe from malnutrition. They're safe from a life of hopelessness and despair, because every single kid that goes into our program, you'll see this when you sponsor. The first photo, the kid kind of looks all depressed and they're just like,
yeah.
But then the second photo, like the very next photo that you see goes in, and we update photos every 9 months for those of you who are wondering. The second photo in there, that same kid that was so just blank,
yeah.
They've got a light in their eyes, they're smiling, and if you sponsor for a couple of years, as we would encourage all of you to do, you see the kid fill out, you see this joy, you can see the light of the kingdom come on in their eyes. It's just, it's incredible. So, is there any other questions? Oh, Kayla, right on time. Yeah, love seeing the difference between the before and afters. Hannah, what are some of the changes you've seen physically in the kids? Because I know our doctors say that the kids have to start bringing their IDs to medical checkups because they look so different. You look at almost every single kid's photo, every month. Like, what are some changes that you've observed from seeing, say, 2 to 3 years of sponsorship?
I have literally an entire folder on my laptop of kids that you can just see like such a drastic change. And, there's kids who literally it's like skin and bones, and it's a lack of joy and a lack of just life in their face, to where even when they're sponsored for a year, 2 years, 3 years, they're completely different kids, to the point where sometimes I have to send a message to our team and be like, hey guys, like, is this the right child? Like, like when we're doing picture updates and all that. And so I would say that's the biggest thing I've seen. But I think something that's even more noticeable to me, and you just talked about it, is just the joy they experience. It's like this perfect peace from the Lord that just comes over them. And it's just, it's because of sponsors. Some of you who are probably sponsors on here, it's not just food and it's not just education and medical care. What it is like it's showing them, like it's a tangible reflection of God's love. And you can see it on their face, like all over their body, that they're experiencing that for the first time. So
good. Well, y'all, thank you so much for joining us. This has been incredible. I hope you've learned a lot. And for those of you who are watching this later, we just want to encourage you, jump on board. There is 100 kids right now. It's actually like 102 kids right now who are waiting for one of you to step up and say, I choose you. I call you worthy. I see you as a son or a daughter of the King of Kings, and I choose you.
Yeah.
And so I want to encourage those of you who haven't sponsored yet, sponsor, but then commit to praying for this kid, that God would bless their life, that he would bless their family's life, and that these kids would grow up and become the catalysts of change in the nation of India. I just see that final question there. Is the caste system still a problem in India? Absolutely. It is a very real and present reality. Even although a lot of Indians will say, oh, no, it's not a thing anymore. the reality is it's still alive and well, especially out in the villages where everything is a lot more traditional. Some of the big cities, it's less obvious. It's more just like a joke, or, you would reference it in conversation, but it sort of doesn't make a difference for friendships. But out in the villages, the caste system is really alive and well.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that education and also your prayers are going to change. So, y'all, thank you so much. Please jump on lightacandle.global/sponsor. Sponsor one of our sweet kids. We don't have a catalog of kids, like their items or anything like that you can purchase. We ask you to sponsor just either the longest waiting boy, the longest waiting girl, or the longest waiting child, period. Because we believe that every single one of them is a son or daughter of the King of Kings and is deserving of your love, your prayers, your support. And y'all, we believe that these kids are going to grow up and change the nation of India. I'll finish with my favorite quote from one of our country directors over there. He said, "Peter, with these kids growing up the way that they are, we will see India change in a generation." And he said, "I believe in this." And he said, "This is what I'm willing to give my life for." Mm-hmm. And so I would ask you guys, just jump on our website, sponsor one of these kids, invest not just into India, but into the kingdom, invest into the nation of India, and invest into a child that is going to grow up forever changed because of what you've done. So if you have any more questions, please comment on this post. We'll get back to you. If you have any other questions before you sponsor a child, email sponsor@lightacandle.global. That is going to go to Hannah, and she will get back to you ASAP.
Yes.
Bless you guys. Thank you so much. And if you'd like for us to do another one of these, comment on this post when we post it, and we'll schedule another one of these. God bless you guys.
Thanks, guys.